H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys supports 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus. One-time pay, lifetime access to live classes and videos. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For free demo class, visit h2kinfosys.com.
Hi, this is Kaushik again. So today we're going to see the usage of hash table in Java. As far as the hash tables are concerned, they are basically used for dynamic data structures. Now, if we know about arrays basically takes a homogeneous kind of data, and we have to define the element size of the array. It is compulsory to define the element size of the array. A hash table belongs to a class which implements the map interface. The map interface is part of your collections framework, the collection API. And if you compare the differences between your arrays and collection API, the differences are huge. For example, arrays, we need to define the element size. In collections, we do not have to define the element size. That means we have a dynamic data structure followed up in collections. That means precisely more analysis is that we can decrease the size of the collections and we can increase the size of the collections. And the other difference is that arrays can take only homogeneous data, whereas collections can take homogeneous as well as heterogeneous data. The third difference is that the memory usage with arrays is not as good as the memory usage with collections. So we are particularly interested in seeing one of the classes of the collection framework which implements the map interface, and that class is called as hash table. Now, hash table basically represents datas, or you can say group of individual objects in key value pairs, where keys are actually very unique. You cannot have duplicate keys, and the values can be duplicated as a whole. That's why I've given that particular point called keys are unique in nature, whereas values can be duplicated. Thirdly, that as I have told, it supports your dynamic data structure, wherein the size can be increased and can be reduced. That's what we have discussed also. And the last one is that as hash table is part of your collections API, it supports heterogeneous as well as homogeneous data. Now, the importance of hash table is quite significant as far as your Selenium WebDriver is concerned. So first we will see the usage of hash table in your Java, and I'll compare the hash table usage of hash table with arrays. So what I'll do, I'll create a class file out here. I'll create a project out here. The project will be called as let's say hash table usage of hash table in Java. That's the project name. And inside this project, I'm going to click on finish and click on no for not changing the perspective of the Eclipse IDE. So inside this particular project, I'm going to create a package called as hash table usage. Okay, and inside this package, I'm going to create a class file called as, let's say, using hash table. I'm going to call the main method out here. As part of the hash table, so to show the difference between hash table and arrays, first I will do what is, let us create an array. So array can be either of string type, or it can be a long or a double data type array or an integer type of array. And in arrays we have to define the element size. Without defining the element size we cannot define the array. So let us define a string array right now. Say it's a kind of two-dimensional array. Okay, and the variable that defines this particular array is str equal to new string and here we define the element size. The element size will have the first pair of bracket will have the row size, so let's have 2 rows and a 2 column array. So right now if we understand the element size of the array, the element size of the array is 2 into 2, 4. So 4 is the element size of the array, where this first 2 in the first pair of square bracket is the row size, this is the column size. Now we've created a variable str which is of string array. Now the next thing that we need to do is put data inside this particular array. So since it has 2 rows, the first row data, we're going to define it like this. Call up the variable str, define the row. So since it's a string array, so we have to define all the data in string format. So let's say my name, okay, and let's say this defines the first name of the person, and then you have str, this defines the last name of the person, so precisely the first row will have the index number 0 and the first column will be defined with the index number 0. Similarly, the first row will define the index number 0 and the second column will be defined with the index number 1. That means it's kind of the first row is having 2 columns, okay, because the column size is 2, where the first column will hold the first name, the second column is going to hold this last name. So this is the first row data. Similarly, like this we have to have data for the second row. So I'm just going to copy and paste it out here. And this is the second row data because we know that we have 2 rows. So second row data will have to be defined. Now this is the second row will have the index number 1. Second row first column will have index number 0, and let's say the first name is Sam. Similarly, the second row second column, second row second column will have index number 1 and 1 each respectively, and we have to define the last name out here. Last name can be, for example, Sam. Now generally what happens is that when we want to get the data of a particular cell, okay, what we need to do, we use a sysout and we define out here the variable str and we find the row and column index number. Let's say we want to get the data from the first row second column, so we're going to define the first row with index number 0 and the second column with index number 1, and we run this class file, we'll get the value of Mukherjee, as you can see that. Similarly, if I want to get the data, so this is data from first row second column. Similarly, let's say I want to get data of, let's say, second row first column, and that's precisely second row will have the index number as, so call the variable str, which is the variable of string array type, and second row first column will have, second row will be represented by index number 1, first column will be represented by index number 0, second row first column will have the value Sam. So if I want to get Sam, have to give us println command like this, and I get Sam in the console. Okay, so that is how we define an array. So in array, it is important that we have the element size. Now, how do I get the element size if that is the matter? So element size of the array, we got to use sysout, and we got to use str.length method. This method is going to give us the element size of the array. So I can write down out here the element size of the array is, concatenate this with str.length, and if we run this particular class file, the element size right now is str.length multiplied by str of 0 dot length. So that should precisely give us the element size, which is equal to 4, because element size is always equal to, it's always equal to number of rows multiplied by the number of columns. So this is going to give me the number of rows, and this is going to give me the column size. So 2 into 2, 4, and that is what the result I am getting out here. Okay, now coming back to the differences between arrays and hash table, because this video is completely on hash table. So let us define the hash table out here. Now, as we know, in hash table is part of the collections framework. The collection framework is basically used to have dynamic data structure first, and in collection framework we do not have to define the element size. Since we don't have to define the element size, there's no deal to define the number of rows and columns. We can keep on adding data to the hash table, and we can keep on reducing the data or subtracting the data or removing the data from the hash table. How do we do that? Now, hash table is considered as an inbuilt class of map interface, and the map interface is part of your collections framework. So if you want to use the class, we have to create an object of this particular class, the hash table. Let's say referenced by h1 is equal to new hash table. So that's how we're going to call the object of the hash table right now. And we're going to import this particular hash table, which belongs to the utility package. And done. This is the creation of the object of the hash table class. So after that, we need to put data. So this is how we can have a dynamic data structure. Dynamic data structure allows us to have a leverage in which we can add data and we can remove data also. Whereas in arrays, if the element size has to be defined, which is compulsory for defining arrays, we cannot subtract or remove the data once we have defined the element size. If we do not define the data based on the element size, we will get something known as array index out of bound exception. So out here we're going to define the data right now for the hash table. So there's a method called the put method. The .put method is basically used to put data inside the hash table. As we know, the hash table puts data in the key value pair. So here we have to define the key value pair out here in your string format. So let's say the key is, for example, the first name. And the value of the key will be your, let's say, Kaushik. And similarly, we have to put the last here. So we use the put method, and inside the put method we define the key as the last name and the value of the key as, let's say, Okachi. Okay. Now we've not put the terminator sign, that's why the syntax error is come. Now we see that there is a orange underline. Now we've seen that the hash table, the common knowledge is that it puts data or represents individual objects in key value pairs, or you can put data in key values pairs. Now if you see the key format and the value format, both are in string format. So what we can do is you just hover our mouse